Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I've got some Witch gameplay this week. This is three different games. One against Blake from Experience Share, and I think two versus Brandon or B Posey. And they're all playing three different Witch lists. I wanted to see what kind of Witch deck felt really good in the current AL meta. So the first one here is the top 8 from Sorcery list. And then the second one is going to be a list from Kyle from Scourge Altars or Sorceral. It's a Witch Turtle deck. I didn't do very well with it, but playing against it before, it was a little annoying. And then the final one is more of just an aggressive Witch build by Zalem. And, well, I shouldn't say aggressive, more of a tempo with Hider Sprites and Lookouts and using Witch to kind of burn your opponent out. This one here is the aggressive list from the Sorcery top 8. I get Morgan Le Fay in my opening hand, which is just awesome. He's on Blake is on the play, so I'm a little behind the 8 ball, and he's played a pond into a Lugbog Cat, which better than a 4/4 on turn 3 is a 4/4 on turn 2. So I'm kind of forced to play to my 19 site just to mitigate some damage and give some time to build up and be able to have some answers for this 4/4. So I just take my second turn and play Jihad, and Jihad is just it's just a huge card. I'm AL brought in a lot of new good like ordinaries and exceptionals, but man, some of the uniques from Alpha and Beta are still just very good. And the list that Blake's playing is a druid list that's looking to play some efficient creatures, use Pond and Bog to slow the game down so you can get to flip on turn 5-ish, and play really good creatures like Lugbog Cat and I think Pudge Butchers. The Witch Avatar build here is a much more aggressive list. Jihad is a huge one here, just to allow me to play all my creatures up into the opponent's area. Without it, it can be a little awkward and get locked out kind of easily. So this shape I'm playing here, the backwards L, where you go 18, 19, 14, or you could go 18, 17, 12, is a much more defensive list or defensive site placement. It still doesn't lock you out of playing sites, because you can still go to 15 and then have 20, and if they go to 12, you can play to 17 or just push up onto their ninth square. And so it's still you still get half the board if you play this backwards, but you get a very defensive site base where on 19 you can play one minion and defend most of your sites. Now having an opponent's site right there in the middle can be an issue if they're playing an aggressive list, but if they're playing a little bit of a slower mid-range list, you can kind of be okay playing backwards like this. In an aggressive list, you kind of want to play up and left and right just to keep them on their side as much as possible. But in this way, I can play a creature on 19 and defend all my stuff. And it also avoided me taking an extra 4 damage from the Lugbog Cat if I had played up. So here I'm like, there's too much stuff on board right now. I need to reset. I already have Scarabs that can take care of Pudge Butcher because it has +1 power, and then so deal 2 with the attack and the 3 from the Deathrite, taking care of the Pudge Butcher. That was just a slight misplay by Blake, but it was what if he had played it up 1 square, I think I might have been dead. I would have had to blink over to 19, and then maybe thrown the Scarab into his avatar for 5. But the monstrous lion attacking the cat and then taking care of the Pudge Butcher just kind of resets the board, in the sense that he only has a Tawny on board and I don't really care about anything else. He has 2 cards in hand. I had a Morgan Le Fay, so I knew I was going to be able to draw 3, quote unquote. So I wasn't too worried about not having anything on board that turn. I just needed to reset and get my footing to have a creature down first, or have it's like trading the tempo. It's who has a non-summoning sick minion minus charge. Charge kind of blows us out of the water, but so now I have the upper hand with just playing. Morgan Le Fay could have been anything. It could have been any 3-power minion into the Aura of Jihad, and it becomes 4/4s. Here he Riptide's up, and this is the downside of Ice Lance. He's going to play Ice Lance to take care of the Violent, just because the Jihad makes that math a little bit awkward, and then the projectile rules for Ice Lance just kind of nerfed it into the dirt. But Riptide replaces itself, and then with Druid he can flip, and now he's like more centrally located, so it's not like a too bad of a positioning play, but Ice Lance is just like a very awkward card nowadays. And with Morgan Le Fay, I'm gonna be able to hit for 4 and start like turning the tides. And now I'm at 5 mana, and I can now start using my Witch ability, which feels a lot like Avatar of Earth in the sense where you can't really start using your ability until turn 6 or turn 5 with a core or some kind of ramp. It's just like a little too slow for what a lot of the aggressive decks are like curving out into. They're playing something on 2, 3, and 4, and by the time the 5th site or 5th turn comes around, there's already 3 minions on board, and if you haven't dealt with them, they're gonna swarm, and it's just gonna overrun you. And Raycat Priories off of the Morgan Le Fay just shows how strong charge is. I think I hit for 8 this turn, and then still played a scout to see his hand. So, and this deck, I think, could have been any avatar, which is kind of interesting because you get that extra 2 little chip damage, and sometimes aggressive decks just kind of fall like a turn and a half short of like getting them to door. You get them down to like 3 or 5, and then they have a chance to heal or do something. So maybe Witch is like good in that sense, but I have a hard time seeing where a Sorcerer wouldn't be better in this kind of list, because now at 5, if I didn't have Morgan Le Fay, I spent 2 of her cards, so I wouldn't have any cards in hand. I feel like I won this game off of Morgan and not the Witch ability, if that makes sense. I got a Warhorse and Sarkane Raiders. These are now my, like, as long as I hold one of these, it's my quote-unquote kill spell or my way to win the game when he's at death's door. I remember saying a lot more often in Alpha and Beta in 4020 to never spend your kill spell. Like, everybody's going to get to death's door, either a turn before or after, and then it usually comes down to whoever has the win in hand. So just having an idea for 2 or 3 turns ago, like, all right, if I play my Sarkhan Raiders, I still have Warhorse to charge my minions and get them to door, or have an extra surprise attack he can't quote unquote play around. So, and then here is an interesting damage stack, I guess. So he's flipped Druid, and so moving into the Jihad Aura, Scout takes 1. Now it's back down to 2. Then moving over to attack his site, that would take another damage. So the Scout has 2 damage on it, but it has a 3 power thanks to Jihad. The Druid flipped ping damage is very interesting to keep in mind, because you also have Briar Patch up there, and if you enter that site, it's 2 damage because of the flipped Druid, and then if you leave it, it's another 2 damage. So let's just be very careful on movement on this. And then another interesting thing about the Druid ability, getting Tawny for free, is a body you can do stuff with. So Scapeshift is one of the better cards, not better cards, one of the decks where Shapeshifts can kind of be included, not for free, but for a lower cost, just because you get a free body to do it with the Druid ability. And then here I rip a Kobolds, and any number of these things could have done it. So that's the power of charge and playing quote unquote instant speed interactions. And here is another game against one of the local players. So thank you, Brandon, for playing me here. This is Kyle's Turtle Witch build. It's looking to play free cities, belfries, scarecrows, and bottomless pits, and gnome hollows, and playing cave trolls to the underground, and just to burn your opponent. And so you're like getting to 3 mana, maybe 4 mana, and then when you get to 5 to play an earthquake or something. But it's to never really attack with minions. It's just to burn your opponent out with the witch. I played a couple games with this. It's very cute. I played against it once in the TTS league, where I was playing my Geomancer list, and it was playing a bunch of like beefy creatures, and there was no way to attack into this opponent or into this deck when I was playing it. Here, Brian is playing Avatar of Air, so there's a little bit of a disadvantage in my sense, because he's playing a lot of 2 mana or 2 power flyers, just playing flyers in general. I'm looking for Scarecrow to bounce those minions to hand. Scarecrow's a very interesting card, and when Avatar of Air got very popular, it was a very good like anti Avatar of Air card, but it's so bad otherwise. Sometimes it just doesn't do anything. But here's Mirror Realm copying Cloud City, which is just super strong. I kind of don't care about it because I'm only really looking to get to 4 mana, and I'm already at 4 mana with the stone. But the problem here in this matchup was he was playing too many small minions and too many flyers for me to really like lock him out from attacking me. I'm sure I played this horribly wrong. I'll leave all these decks in the description. But Mirror Realming another Gnome Hollows. I have Magic Missiles in hand, so I'm like, all right, he's going to attack for 3. I can probably just Magic Missiles and like deal with it that way. Bottomless Pitch, I should have mulliganed it seeing Avatar of Air, but whatever. This was a very casual game, and just kind of testing this Avatar of Air list he's going with. I think this is a Air Earth list, playing some bigger Earth minions, and then he's able to blink it away, which is very very interesting and like a very good play. And then another browse and just doing all the things. But so against a heavy minion deck, this Witch Turtle, like when I was playing against it with my Geomancer list, where I was playing like 30 plus minions, I think, it was highly frustrating because Gnome Hollows I can't get into it because all my minions are 3 power or more. Bottomless Pits, I didn't have a whole lot of flyers, and the few flyers I did have were countered by a Scarecrow. But then, I was alright. I can maybe attack a ground site like Holy Ground, or I forget what other sites he had. But then a Belfry was on the freaking site, so I can't enter it by the ground. It was just very very frustrating. I ended up winning that game just because it went long enough where I had craterized and was able to attack with what was it? A grain sparrow and just slowly eke out some advantage. And I eventually walked my avatar up there to do something too. It was just kind of hilarious. But I like this turtle build is really, really fun. But I don't think it's fast enough because like doing 2 damage a turn seems like it's really really good, like just free 2 damage a turn, but you can do more with your tap ability than just dealing damage. And to talk more about the witch as an avatar in general, like as an aggressive avatar, you don't have the card advantage as sorcerer, but you're still playing a lot of the same cards with like the charge minions and what have you. But when you get to 5 mana, 4 or 5 mana, you can punch them for two, or like make them lose life for two. But with Sorcerer, you can draw another card and then play like a 3 power thing, or a kobold that can still punch them for two, but now you have board presence. So I really think Witch as an avatar is just outclassed by Sorcerer. Um, I'm very interested to see what's coming up in the TTS league, in what kind of aggressive lists will make it to the top cut and top eight. I don't think Witch is going to get there just because Sorcerer feels like a better aggressive avatar, which is a really cool like build around, and you have the other abilities of taxing and shrinking power. Like it's really good against Battle Mage, but then you're like taking a turn off to like make him just, oh, I'll just play another site. So then you don't play a site, and he does, and he's just building more board presence and what have you. It just feels bad. Also, and then this coming turn, he's got Kettle Top and a Hounds, and I need to remove as much as I can. And the sequence of plays I think I go with is drawing a sight, and then lightning bolting the Hounds, and then earthquaking, where I get to get rid of everything, but I guess I'm spending my 2 cards for his 2 minions, but it was just a very, no, I'm spending 3 cards because I'm going to have to attack with my cave trolls. I lightning bolt, then earthquake, so that's a 2 for 1ing. I'm 3 for 1, or 3 for 2. I don't know. It's bad. It's card disadvantage. So I spent 3 of my cards for his 2. What is what it boils down to, and it was just a bad play, and just in a bad situation. I was just never able to block him out from attacking me, which is what this deck is looking to do. And the Witch -2 life is just not fast enough to be highly competitive. And then here he drops a Pudge Butcher in front of my face, and I draw an Angel's Egg, and it's all over from here. I don't think I could have played that turn any different. Could play the deck a little differently, but maybe if I cornerstoned on 11 or something, I could have eked something out. But this is why I was testing Witch. It just doesn't feel, the ability doesn't feel impactful enough. Oh, and here he has a Gigantism. I forgot about that. And then pudges me off of my home site, and then pulls me away. And that's good game. And Belfry. I feel like this deck just kind of doesn't work when you don't get the lock pieces, but that's why we test. And it's a really fun deck. I would highly recommend it if anybody has a local scene where they're playing lots of minions. Just to pull this out, it'd just be super frustrating. And then this last game against Brandon as well is Zalem's Witchfire list. It's the tempo with Hider Sprites and lookouts and scouts and more things, just to mess with their playing. I was able to slow Brandon down enough to start using the Witch ability, and it felt strong to remove 2 life and then attack with stuff. But it's just still, I would rather be drawing cards and playing aggressive minions. I think if Sorcerer wasn't around, Witch would be a good aggressive avatar, and it still is aggressive. An aggressive list can work really well, but there just wasn't enough impact by the ability. And here, I asked Brandon if I can just grab a site instead of a card, because I meant to, because I didn't want to play my tower or curse land. And again, this is testing and casual, so I was able to get a lookout, and I named Plumed Pegasus because I saw that he had 2 Plumed Pegasus and a Root Spider, but I don't think he had any Earth at the time. So naming Plumed Pegasus with Hydra Sprites kind of just throws a huge wrench into the just the tempo or play pattern. And so if he chooses to draw a site to look for an Earth site, which is like an okay call because he has a free city. He's not getting attacked. He has a turn or two to like figure out his threshold. But the Hydersprite's naming Plumed Pegasus just I think is what kind of won this game or allowed me to like win the long game. Oh, he did have an Earth site, so maybe he could have played a Rift Valley, but maybe he wanted to some more advantage with the Rift Valley and like pulling my sites apart. And on the play, you couldn't have really done that. So I'm still like, all right, I'm just gonna bide my time, play my sites, wait for an opening, and just try to be a little annoying. And that Hider Sprite play on turn 2 to name their 3-drop, I think is exactly what this deck wants to do, because now it throws a huge wrench into. We'll play a Plume Pegasus on 3, then play a Spider on 4, be able to attack with Pegasus consistently. If he didn't have a free city here, it would be a lot better for me, but still just taking my time. I think I hit him for 2. I have lots of minions on board. I have 3 mana. I can still cast stuff. So there's just start using that witch ability as early as possible, kind of like Avatar of Earth, where there's been games where with Avatar of Earth where I've started attacking on like turn 3 with Avatar of Earth because my opponent is also on a heavy Earth list, and being able to do that because a lot of my minions are 2 and 3 drops, I can still play a minion every turn on 3 with 3 mana or even 2, but now I'm attacking with a 5 power Avatar on turn 4, and that is just a really good fast clock. Avatar of Earth currently, I've done some testing against like Mr. Magoo. It feels okay because you're playing your Avatar and it blanks a lot of their removal, but it just doesn't feel like it's doing enough, and especially against Charge. If you don't draw Healing or Pebble's Path, you just kind of lose. Here I play a Sight and Firebolts his minion out of the way. I give him a Sight, but whatever. But oh yeah, I spent Firebolt, so I only have 2 mana left, and just to get more minions on board. So now I have swarmed the board with minions. I'm at 4 mana. I can now just keep pinging him for 2, and then getting in with a Palberry Bats or some kind of like little chip damage. I don't know if I was in Brandon's seat, I would have played another Rift Valley there to give me an avenue attack. I would have played it on my back row and stayed behind Free City and use that as a defense. And then I like the 1 Rift Valley play because then you have a spider to protect it. Giving me a opening, I don't think is really the best use of Rift Valley, but it has a good launch pad for sure. Hippogriff's taking out my scout just to save some information on cards drawn. Here I get Lightning Bolt, and it's like, all right, this might be my kill spell, so I can play my Dragonets as well. Ping the Avatar with the Dragonets. I have my Bats ready to counter his Spider, and I move it over as kind of bait because I want to unlock my Scarabs, and Scarabs is just a hugely annoying flyer that can deal a lot of damage, and it also creates an awkward like blocking scenario if I'm able to attack with Scarabs while somebody's at death's door. It will just be the issue to block, and as long as I'm able to get Scarabs onto that site and somehow kill it, which is really easy, it just kind of, that's the win condition and makes them worry about scarabs more, and so I can maybe play a lightning bolt because they don't want to play a minion on their avatar to block. And here was a really good play. It had a got a grapple shot off of common sense. Was able to take care of my bats, keep the spider, and then move spider underneath his avatar. So yeah, and then to speak a little bit about this, like that hard cut, we had to rewind a little bit because I attacked with bats and I was like, hold on, I can get to door here with the red cap and bats, so had to rearrange a little bit, and then I moved my scarabs on top of Free City just to like keep it in the fight, keep it from being able to just be a dead card and having a thing for it to worry about. I think here he just attacks for 3 because Free City blocks the priorities, and without being able to take care of the scarabs was the issue here. He didn't have another minion in hand that he could blink and play. So I was just be able to play a sight up and move Dragonats and kill him. Or if he left Spider there, I would just use my bat to kill the Spider. So just having the Scarab there made this end sequence very difficult, and I was able to even I think he plays a Headless Haunt on one of the 2 sites he's not on. And that's the thing I was talking about with Scarab. Make your opponent play a way that you want them to play. So like with Scarab, I was able to make him play to deal with Scarab, but then also play with and deal with Dragonats, but have the kill in hand still. How to explain this better? By the way, I was able to position, but with positioning and the minions I was playing, it forced Brandon to play a certain way, in the way that it even caused him to leave himself open for lightning bolt finishing. So use your positioning to dictate your opponent's options. But that's it. That's today's video. Thank you everybody for watching. If you made it this far, like and subscribe. 500 was awesome. Next stop is 1,000. So thank you everybody. I'll see you around.